So my last video was about, what would you need to get started? What would it take for you to get started and so forth? And it made me think about the fact that sometimes when I'm wanting to get more, to be more productive, to get more done in a day, or just to get more done in general, right? So maybe I feel like I fall into a bit of a slump and I'm not being as productive as I want to be. Um, I'm self-employed, so there's really, aside from obviously my clients do depend on me to get work done, but that's often kind of a month-to-month thing. I'm here in my office. They're not here with me. They're not like breathing down my neck most of the time, saying, "Hey, you got to get this done." So it really is up to my own initiative, my own deadlines and so forth to get things done. And so if I find that I've kind of fallen into a bit of a slump, I'm not being as productive as I should be. Maybe I've gotten distracted with things, or whatever the case, and maybe it can kind of be a bit of a downward spiral if you get, if you got distracted, or you had something in your personal life or your family life come up, and it got rough, and you kind of got sidelined, and you end up, you look back at your day and you're like, man, I did not really get that much done today, or wow, I got the mandatory things done, but it took me until the very end of the day to get what I absolutely had to get done, and that kind of thing. And so, one of the things that I find to be helpful that's kind of counterintuitive is when I want to get more done, one of the best things I can do to get back on track is to start doing less. So, let me explain that. So, um, when you're kind of in a bit of a funk, I think it's easy to be like, well, okay, I just got to push harder and longer. But then when you're in a funk, you don't feel like pushing harder and longer, really. And it's kind of just. And the other thing is that harder and longer doesn't always equal more productive either. So generally what I've found is that, there's always an activity that precedes the next activity, right? So, for instance, waking up early is preceded by sleep. Sleep is preceded by what time you get to bed. What time you get to bed is preceded by whatever you're doing at bedtime, right? So there's always like this chain reaction. And so rather than maybe just saying, for instance, I will get up earlier, it might be saying, why am I getting up late? Oh, it's because I'm actually watching videos at 11:30 when I should be letting myself doze off to some audio. Okay, so tonight I'm going to just listen to audio. But I think the more, so that's one example, right? But I'm not hung up on getting up super early. That's not one of my main themes in life. Um, Although I try not to get up crazy late most of the time, right? But the I'm not one of these 5 o'clock miracle morning type of guys. Um, when it comes to being more productive in my day, though, one of the things I've found is that sometimes to get more done, I have to start doing less. And what I mean by that is, so if I take regular breaks, that can actually be really good for my productivity. Partly because taking a break, like let's say once an hour, taking a 10-minute walk, something like that. In the moment, it can feel like, oh, I should be pushing, I should keep going, I should get this done. But when you make yourself pop out, take a little break, you can kind of get a bit of a mental reset. And then also sometimes I find that, like for instance, I'm doing a lot of mental work, right? It's mostly on the computer, doing mental work, and sometimes I get in, I kind of get on, kind of on bunny trails, if you will, right? And not really staying at peak efficiency. So I'm working, my mind's, I'm putting in effort, but maybe it's a little bit misdirected, and maybe I should have been wrapping up a project that I'm still working on because I went into a little too much detail on it, or maybe I'm exploring this other option when in reality I should have just called it good and moved on to the next thing. So anyway, so when you regularly punctuate work with breaks, it's also a reminder, hey, the afternoon is going by here, or the morning is going by. The time is moving here, and where am I at in, what I'm wanting to get done for the day? And if I'm like, oh, I'm on my second break, and I'm still working on my first project, I need to get this bad boy wrapped up because I've got some other stuff to do today yet. So those breaks can kind of be like a mental, like, punctuation mark that's like, hold on, I need to be starting a new project soon, so I got to get this current thing wrapped up so I can get on to the next thing. So I just find it interesting, but it seems like sometimes the first step to getting out of a funk and to get back on track with productivity, to get more done, is to do less. And there's something about pulling back a little bit and doing less that can also, it's almost like it can kind of give you the energy and the springboard to then be more focused on your next effort. So it's like when you like, usually, yeah, there's just something healthy I think that happens when you pull back a little bit and you say, okay, wait, like I'm gonna take the break I need. I'm gonna get the rest I need. I'm gonna whatever it is. I'm gonna prepare, and then this next opportunity that I have to be productive, I'm going to do more because I prepared for it now. I'm mentally in the proper state. I'm not, I'm ready to go now. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Now your brain style, the way you prefer to work, it may be different. But for my personality, the way I like to operate, the way I like to work, I probably tend not to take the breaks that I should. But in general, I do find it helpful if I'm not being as productive as I want to be, is to take more breaks.